Hey, what's going on, guys? I have spent the last hour combing over Chris Weidman versus Bruno Silva at Atlantic City, and I have compiled a supercut of Chris Weidman cheating in this fight where he essentially won via double eye poke, but it's worse than I could have ever imagined. I almost just went back and got the fouls that were the obvious eye pokes and the obvious fouls. But I said, you know what? And we're going to take a look at this in a second. I said, you know what? Let me rewatch the fight in its entirety and watch it very close and meticulously comb over and rewind and recheck. There's more cheating than I could have ever imagined. And I made a supercut. We're going to take a look at it in this video. And then to top it all off, not only on my Easter holiday am I watching Chris Weidman cheat to a win against Bruno Silva, I then said, you know what? I saw the posts, in the cage interview from Chris Weidman where he said some disgusting and embarrassing and unsportsmanlike things. I said, let me listen to his post-fight press conference because the UFC won't copyright strike that. And we're going to take a look at some of the things that he said in his post-fight press conference. He is an abomination. He deserves to be disqualified. He needs to have this win overturned. And he is a complete and utter this is a disgrace to the sport, to be quite honest. Let's jump right into it. Let's jump right into it because we have a lot to go through in this video. And honestly, I never thought everything that I was going to uncover, going back and meticulously watching basically all 15 minutes of this fight, or a little under 15 minutes, 13 minutes of this fight. And it starts off in the first round. I'm going to give you timestamps for everything if you want to go back on ESPN Plus and watch it. This is round one at 3:02 left in round one. Watch these back of the head shots from Chris Weidman. And this comes right after there was some borderline illegal knees, but they were close enough where they were technically like the top of the head, which you're really not allowed to hit, like kind of like the crown of the head. But, I'm going to let those slide. Because those weren't 100%. We're only going with concrete fouls here. Watch these three back of the head shots. They're not up for debate. Clear as day. This was in the first round when they're in the clinch position when Weidman disgracefully humped Bruno Silva for 3 minutes straight and did absolutely almost nothing other than throw these illegal back of the head shots. Check this out. 1, 2, 3. Clear as day. Clear as day. The second one, okay, maybe it caught the ear a little bit, but no. I think all three of those were wrong. All three of those were back of the head hammer fist. Now we're going to move on in this next clip, and I've compiled an entire supercut of these cheats, so that's why you're going to see it kind of jump around here. I'm not clicking around in an individual video. I went and recorded all these fouls and then compiled them into one video for the ease of making this video. By the way, if you guys enjoy videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. Now in this next one, you're going to see the first eye poke from Chris Weidman. This is round two, 2 minutes and 36 seconds left in round two. You'll see it, get to it in a second after it gets past this clinch position. So here you go. And this is the actual live eye poke. You see it right there, right? And the reason I want to show you the live eye poke, because we're going to look at the slow-mo replay from the UFC, but I've already slowed it down for you guys as well. But the reason I wanted to show you this is, watch Chris Weidman here. He complains to the ref that this wasn't an eye poke. This drove me nuts. That's why I'm so glad I went back and watched the full fight meticulously. He pokes him in the eye, and you're going to see this slow-mo in a second. It's already in slow-mo, but you're going to see the slow-mo from the UFC that then I've slowed down even more. Watch him right now complain to the ref here. And by the way, Gary Copeland, the Oompa Loompa ref here that's on steroids, which you can't see him in the picture right now, is a complete and utter abomination himself. Honestly, he needs to be investigated. I think he might have had a bet on Chris Weidman in this fight, but we'll go over that a little bit more later in the video. Watch Weidman complain to the ref. Look, he's like, no, I didn't poke him. I didn't poke him. The ref's like, timeout. By the way, Gary Copeland, you're an absolute disgrace of a referee. You're a scumbag. You're a piece of shit. I hate your guts. I think he was up to something in this fight, and we'll go over that in this video. But look, Weidman's complaining. He even continues. Look, he's shaking his head. He's telling the ref he didn't do it. Well, let's see if he actually did it. Let's watch the real slow-mo. Let's watch the real slow-mo here. Here it is. Okay, now watch this thumb here. Okay, thumb clearly rakes the eye. It's not like a heavy eye poke. Okay, it's not the worst eye poke ever, but it clearly rakes across the eye. Clearly rakes across the eye there. Okay, so there's the very first, I almost said first. There's the very first eye poke from Chris Weidman. Okay, now we're going to jump to round three. Okay, now round three, this is actually a double eye poke. This wasn't the, there was two double eye pokes in round three. The first eye poke isn't that severe. Bruno Silva kind of ignores it. He swipes away from his face. Weidman touches gloves with him, kind of apologizing, and then he immediately pokes him. I could not believe this. Watch this. Watch this. This is at 4:33 of the third round. Pokes him there. Boom. Right? This isn't, they don't stop the action for this one. They don't stop the action for this. Look at the way Weidman's just reaching out with his hands, which he did just consistently over and over and over again in this fight. So watch Bruno Silva. He reacts to it a little bit, right? Weidman's like, oh shit, I poked him again. Let's touch gloves. I think they touch gloves here for a second. Yeah, they kind of touch gloves. He acknowledges it, and then he immediately pokes him. And this is where they stop it the first time in the third round. You'll see it here in a second. Immediately does it again, pokes him again. And you see Bruno Silva have a reaction here. Immediately have a reaction. Look at Weidman already stepping forward like he's ready to take advantage of this eye poke too. He realizes I did it, and he says, oh, well, I got poked too. So keep in mind, Chris Weidman just poked him twice right there. Just poked him twice back to back. And then Weidman's like, I got poked too. I got poked too, which he also references in his post-fight. Now listen to him here. Or not listen to him here, but you've seen him there poking his, pointing to his own eye, saying, I got poked too. Let's watch the slow-mo of that very same eye poke from 4:33 of round 3. Okay, so he clearly pokes him here. Watch. You'll see it. Give it a second, any second. Now, this is, again, right after he already just poked him again. That didn't get stopped for. Right in the eye. Clearly right in the eye. Clearly right in the eye. Now, in a second, you're going to see the poke from Bruno Silva. The poke from Bruno Silva. Now, this is questionable. This is debatable because it is kind of the knuckle. They didn't have the best angle on it, but it was from a punch where the thumb kind of got pried off. So it was kind of a poke, but it was nowhere near going like this. It was nowhere near going like this. Weidman's a complete cheater in this fight. So now, at this point, we're up to 3 eye pokes. But let's watch Bruno Silva's eye poke. We're at 3 eye pokes from Weidman. So you can see it's kind of the knuckle there. It's kind of the knuckle there. But, okay, whatever. Weidman got poked. And, he talks about that later. We'll kind of revisit that in a little bit. Now, after that one, at 4:14, which I don't have a clip for, the referee says, watch reaching with your hands. He warned Weidman, watch reaching with your hands. By the way, the referee was horrible in this fight, okay? We'll talk about it a little bit throughout these next few exchanges, but at the first eye poke, he was asking for a towel. The referee was kind of rushing him a little bit. And throughout this fight, he was rushing him to return from eye pokes. Now, this next eye poke, or not this next eye poke. Actually, yes, this is the next eye poke. I'm sorry, I was confused for a second. There's so many eye pokes, my head is spinning. Okay, this next eye poke is ignored by Bruno Silva. Watch Weidman eye poke him here. You see Silva just kind of swipe away at his eye after he gets eye poked here. It's clear as day. You don't get a slow-mo replay. I'm showing you in slow-mo. We didn't get a slow-mo replay or a stop for this one. Watch this. Poked him right there as well. Swatted at his eye. I'll rewind it real quick just so you can see it a little bit better. Watch Weidman. Now, I rewinded it a little bit too far, so now you're going to see the thumb in the eye again. But watch this next combination here. Watch Weidman here. Watch as he swats away. Look, watch, he lands a punch, and then watch him here. Open hand, swats him right in the eye. And you'll see Bruno Silva kind of react here and wipe away. But keeps fighting. There's no stoppage there. There's no stoppage there. So again, another eye poke. And look at Weidman. He's ready to sprint forward. He sees that Bruno Silva started wiping at his eye. He's ready to sprint forward and attack him. Now this next clip, you're going to see it jump down to 3:13 of the third round. And what you're going to see here is you're going to see him pawing away, waving his fingers in Bruno Silva's eyes again, like he did over and over and over again. And it's just completely ridiculous. The referee tells him, I have it marked down here. The ref just warns them both. Watch the way you're pointing your fingers. And he warns them both, by the way. And that's the other thing the ref did. And I should have touched on it when we got to the double eye poke, as in Weidman poked him twice, but then also Bruno Silva's knuckle landed. The ref kept saying, well, they both poked each other. They both poked each other. They both poked each other. And then he was rushing Bruno Silva back. And the first eye poke in the second round, he gave Bruno Silva the towel. The first eye poke in the third round, Bruno Silva was rushed back and he asked for a towel again, and the referee did not get him a towel. He was saying, come on, let's go, hurry up. For no reason. This dude has 5 minutes to recover. But in this next clip you're going to see is Weidman deliberately trying to poke Bruno Silva in the eyes repeatedly, and the referee actually said something to both of them. Here, you say, oh, watch, both of you guys watch your fingers, even though it's clearly Weidman. Bruno Silva has his fingers out, but he's not reaching out with them. Watch this. This is crazy. And this is at 3:13. You'll see a jump in a second with the edit I made to 3:13 of the third round. Watch this. And this is right before the finishing sequence here. So watch Weidman here, reaching out with the fingers. He does this throughout the fight. I mean, I could have made a 15-minute video of him doing that. A super cut of that, of him reaching out. Watch him Paul out again. Paul's out again. I mean, this is crazy. Look at this. Look at it. That's exactly what you're not supposed to do. Exactly what you're not supposed to do. Reaching out. Right about, I think it's right about here. The referee warns them both. Keep in mind, Bruno Silva has his hand here. He has his hand within a foot of it away from his own face. Weidman has his hand out here. The ref's like, both of you guys, watch your fingers here. But either way, right after this, so this is at 3:09. I have it paused at 3:09 right now. And at 2:50 is the finishing sequence from Chris Weidman, which we'll get to here in a second. But he continues to kind of paw out there with his fingers. And then in a second, you're going to get to the finishing sequence. So, okay, look at him. I mean, is that not ridiculous? And the ref's warning him here. So now you already have 2 stops in the actions for eye pokes and 2 verbal warnings for Chris Weidman. And then you have 2 other eye pokes that have been missed by the referee, and Bruno Silva didn't complain enough. But now you're about to get to the finishing sequence here, which is just the one. And again, pawing out. Okay, pawing out. We're at 3:05 now. He's still pawing out. 3:04. I mean, this is craziness. This is crazy. Still pawing out. I didn't realize. Okay, now here's the finishing sequence. This is about 2:50 of the third round. Now, this is just the slow-mo replay they're showing. Actually, I'm going to speed it up on my end a little bit, because if I have it slowed down, then it's going to be a little bit crazy here. So this is the finishing sequence from Chris Weidman. This is craziness. This is craziness. Watch this. Brutal eye poke to the left eye, right? Brutal eye poke to the left eye here. Look how deep that goes in. Knuckle deep in him, right? Bruno Silva lunging forward, and then paws him away with the right hand and gets the left eye. Or so it was the right eye, then the left eye. I think I might have misspoke there. Double eye poke. This is craziness. And we're going to get to the finishing, left hook here in a second. I mean, this is craziness. Watch this. Watch this again. Watch this again. Knuckle deep in him. Dude's finger and other dudes in the middle of his fight. Pokes him again. Both eyes. Gets both eyes, right? And then he lands this nasty left hook. Watch it land on the shoulder of Bruno Silva. It hits the shoulder of Bruno Silva. Look. Hits the shoulder and then kind of comes up and touches him a little bit. At no point was Bruno Silva hurt. Watch Bruno Silva. Look at his reaction. He's just holding his eyes here. He's just holding his eyes here. Okay? So all he was doing was holding his eyes, and that was basically the finishing sequence there. So you'll see it hit the shoulder, hit the back of the head, and then he's holding his eyes. He's clearly reacting to his eyes. Okay? Absolute disgrace. So there was a total of 6 eye pokes from Chris Weidman. 6 eye pokes, 6 of them. And then there was 3 back of the head shots, and then probably about 10 minutes of this. And what's crazy about this is Bruno Silva's strength. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Bruno Silva's strength is rushing forward with heavy power shots. Well, guess what's really good to stop that? Is to stick your fingers like this and gouge them in the eye over and over and over again. And to top it all off, so he lands that left hook that doesn't even actually land. I mean, this is crazy. Does this left hook even land, boys? I mean, seriously, let's watch it one more time. And then we're going to get to what Weidman said at the post-fight press conference. I want to get to that without making this video too long. Doesn't even really land. Weidman then goes on the ground and pound him. Early stoppage, by the way. The ref jumps in. The punches weren't even landing. They were landing to the shoulder of Bruno Silva after he went down. Ref jumped in like I swear on my life he had a betting ticket on Chris Weidman. And they then decide, okay, we're going to overturn it to a technical decision, which the fight was stopped by a foul. Let's go to the scorecards. Chris Weidman won all 3 rounds, or won the first 2 rounds, plus they would have scored the third round up until that point. Wins all 3 rounds, gets the technical decision. They announced it as a TKO, but then they changed it to a technical decision, okay? This is completely wrong, in my opinion. Chris Weidman should have been disqualified. Should have been disqualified. Bare minimum, the ref knew of 4 eye pokes. The one in the second round, the one in the beginning of the third round, and the double eye poke at the end. So a total of 3 eye poke sessions, okay? Let's put it that way. 4 eye pokes. There were 6 total eye pokes, and then on top of that, the ref warned both of them twice when they weren't even separated. That's not even counting all the warnings after the eye pokes of watching your fingers. So you're talking 6 eye pokes and probably 4 or 5 warnings from the referee, and he still did it over and over and over again. Disgraceful. Then he gets on the mic afterwards, and I'm not gonna show the actual in the cage interview because I don't want to get copyright by the UFC. But he gets on the mic afterwards and says, "Let's address the elephant in the room. I got poked too." First off, that was a knuckle from a punch, but okay, maybe it's a poke. That doesn't change the fact you poked him 6 times. What an absolute joke. Then he's like, "You can't drop to the ground." Well, luckily, in his post-fight press conference, he did the same thing. Let's listen to what he had to say. And by the way, someone let me know, comment down below, let me know if you know this media member. Whoever asked this question, I hope whoever asked this question somehow sees this video. You're a piece of shit that deserves to get slapped, okay? You don't know how to do your job. Go find a new career, you piece of shit. The way he phrases this question, I wanted to jump through the screen and give him a wedgie. The way he phrases this question, and I'll explain to you what I mean in a second. And by the way, let me just go back. Gary Copeland, the referee, horrible job of officiating. This should have been a DQ. Bare minimum, it should have been a no contest. You can't commit that many fouls in a fight and get a win out of it. Absolutely not. No way, shape, or form. I don't know what Gary Copeland's doing. But let's listen to this piece of shit media member.
And what was your overall assessment of your opponent? I mean, he was dropping and complaining about the eye pokes and...
He was dropping and complaining about the eye pokes. That's not the worst part. That's not the worst part. That's annoying. I don't like the way he said that, but let's listen to what he says.
Look at your eye. I think the irony is crazy, but...
When you look at your eye, the irony is crazy. What is wrong with this guy? What is wrong with this guy? Listen to this again.
What's your overall assessment of your opponent? I mean, he was dropping and complaining about the eye pokes, and look at your eye. I think the irony is crazy, but...
Somebody give this guy a wedgie. Somebody Boston crab this guy. The look at your eye, I mean, it's what? That eye damage was from strikes. The majority of that eye damage came from strikes. All of the eye damage came from strikes. That was from the second round when he got busted up towards the end of the second round. Do your job. Watch the fights. Somebody fire this man. I literally, he doesn't deserve to have a job. The way he's asking that question. I think it's ironic that this guy got fingered 6 times over by you and he's dropping to the ground and complaining. Somebody poke him in the eyes. It'd be a real shame if somebody poked that reporter in the eyes. And then listen to Weidman's response. What a class act. What a piece of shit. Weidman deserved everything he's ever gotten in his career. He deserved to get KO'd time and time again. And we're going to get to one of his old fights here in a second that I just happen to remember because I've been watching this sport for so long. We're going to get to one of Weidman's old fights here that he complained about officiating with in a second. But Weidman's answer here is so unsportsmanlike, and it just shows what not a class act he is. People like the All-American Weidman. Tom Petty is rolling over in his grave that you're using his song. He thinks you're a piece of shit, Chris Weidman. You're a cheater. And I think he's cheating in more ways than one, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's actually listen to Weidman's answer.
What's your assessment of your opponent and this fight overall?
I'll never question a guy if he's saying he gets poked in the eye, but you can't just drop every time you feel like something's touching your eyeball, you know?
I'm never one to question a guy, blah, blah, blah. Like, what a piece of shit. Fuck this guy.
He poked me in the eye bad one time, and
he punched you in the eye, Weidman.
Stood there, took it. Unless the ref's going to say something, I don't drop.
Unless the ref's going to say something, I don't drop. I mean, is this supposed to be classy? People, this is why I had to make this video. It's a holiday right now. I'm making this video because I'm so infuriated by this. You don't just drop. He poked me pretty bad, and I just stood there. I like when guys finger me. That's essentially what Weidman's saying. What a piece of shit.
I come from a wrestling background. It's a similar thing. You can't look to the ref for things. They're not gonna help you. Sometimes it's gonna go against you. You got to be always ready to defend yourself at all times. And he dropped again. I don't know. Like I was looking for a way out.
Looking for a way out, Chris Weidman. That's awfully funny. Looking for a way out. We're gonna talk about that more in a second.
I don't know, but you can't just turn your back and fall to the ground every time that your eyeball feels poked.
You can't fall to the ground when you get double eye poked knuckle deep by another man for the 17th time in 5 minutes. You can't do that. Who are you to tell him how he should react when his eyes are being gouged out because you can't follow instructions? And then we'll listen to one more clip. I only bared through half this post-fight presser. I'll link this down in the description. I'll link this. And if you want to see the full minute supercut that I made, it's unlisted on my channel. I will link that also down in the description. If you want to rewatch all the fouls in slow-mo, you have to slow down the YouTube video yourself, but you get the point. But let's listen to one more thing that Weidman had to say at this post-fight presser, because this really just, it had me real tight over this. I had to make this video. Let's listen to him again. I got poked in the eye. I got poked in the eye.
This is coach is translating to him. I just said, listen, I got poked in the eye too. You can't just
You got poked in the eye. It was a knuckle from a punch one time. Let's say even it was a clean poke one time. You poked him 6 times. 6 times.
Time you get poked in the eye, you can't drop to your knees and turn away and look for as much time as possible. It's going to catch up to you, and it caught up to him, to be honest.
It caught up to him. I mean, imagine fouling your opponent this many times and then blaming him. I don't ever want to hear anybody call Chris Weidman a class act ever again. This guy is a piece of shit. I knew it when he beat Anderson Silva. When Anderson Silva broke his leg, Chris Weidman, keep in mind he did this last night as well after the eye poke TKO, or the original eye poke TKO. After Anderson Silva broke his leg in half, he's screaming in agony in the cage, right? Weidman grabbed an American flag, draped it around himself, and ran around the cage celebrating like he won a world title. He did the same thing after the double eye poke KO last night. Wasn't shown as much on camera because nobody cares about Chris Weidman anymore. The crowd barely even cared that he was there. He acted like he was some big celebrity. The crowd wasn't even standing up when he walked out. But that's besides the point. I knew this guy was a piece of shit right then and there. You look at Uriah Hall's reaction when Weidman broke his leg. Look at, I forgot who it was, but it was Tyron Spong who broke his leg. Look at his opponent's reaction when he broke his leg, and that was not that long after Anderson Silva broke his leg. They were all like shocked and disgusted for their opponent. Weidman celebrated over their opponent has a broken bone and is in agony. This guy is a piece of shit. This guy is a cheater. This guy is a disgrace. This guy deserves to be cut from the organization. This guy's family should disown him. His dad should be like, you know what? That's not still my boy. I will watch back after I record this video. By the way, if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. I will watch back Luke Rockhold beating the piss out of Chris Weidman. I will watch that back and I will enjoy it because this guy is a clown. And let's listen to a few more seconds of what he had to say.
Did I want to poke him in the eye? No, I'm unhappy that I poked him in the eye. But when you're fighting with these small gloves on, man, it kind of just happens, man. It's not like if I had what it takes to think about getting my finger in his eyeball, why would I even do that? I'd just be able to put my fist right on his chin every time I wanted. You know what I mean? It's harder than you.
I mean, how many times did I show you him going like this? I swear I could show you 50 to 100 different screenshots of different times in the fight. He's going just like this over and over and over again. So he was clearly trying to do it.
To be like, I'm going to eye poke this guy. It's just unintentional crap that happens when you have small gloves on and you got fingers extended, you know, in gloves. It's unfortunate. You know, like I said, I got poked in the eye too. So
the ultimate victim, I got poked in the eye.
I've been poked in the eye plenty of times in fights.
Oh, and I got poked in the eye plenty of times in fights. Oh, good for you, Chris Weidman. Good for you. Let's talk about looking for a way out. He implied that Bruno Silva was looking for a way out. You poked him 6 times, okay? And speaking of looking for a way out of a fight, let's talk about Chris Weidman, Gegard Mousasi. I always look and I pray and I hope for an opening to jump into the past and cover it on this channel because I've been watching the sport for so long. I wanted to start a channel since 2013, but I didn't. I didn't do it till 2021. By the way, April 1st is a 3-year anniversary of the channel. Appreciate all your guys' support, but I always love to go into the past. Chris Weidman, Gegard Mousasi. This was when there was a lot of confusion about grounded opponents. And you had to have both hands down to be a downed opponent. And if you had both hands down, you couldn't be kneed. Gegard Mousasi landed 2 knees on Chris Weidman where at least one of the hands were up. Initially, it was deemed an illegal knee. They stopped the fight. Chris Weidman won and out of the fight. You see him here laying on the ground, talking to the doctor. This is a doctor here. He won it out of the fight. Well, anyway, the ref, even though he wasn't supposed to, he talked to another ref who had saw the replay and seen that they were legal knees. So they were still going to give Weidman the 5 minutes, but they told him, look, those were legal knees. You're going to lose this fight if you can't continue, but we're still going to give you the time since we stopped it. Weidman all of a sudden went from like this to jumping up and saying, oh, I can continue now, but he had already told the doctor because he wanted out of the fight. He told the doctor, I can't see, I can't continue, I'm hurt too bad, because he wanted an easy DQ win. But once he found out the knees weren't illegal, all of a sudden he jumped up and was like, I can continue. I'm not going to show you any fight footage because I can show you like slow-mos of it, but we're getting into the weeds a little bit. This is a guy that wants out of a fight. This is a guy that draped himself in an American flag after Anderson Silva broke his leg, snapped it, and was in agony. He took pictures with fans checking leg kicks after that. What a disgrace to the sport. He poked Bruno Silva in the eyes over and over and over again. He wanted out of this fight. So I just wanted to highlight this fight. And honestly, what I wanted to really get off my chest by making this video is this needs to be overturned to a no contest. This should not be a win for Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman needs to be cut from the UFC. The way he acted afterwards to commit this level of fouls over and over and over again and then blame your opponent for it and say, well, I got poked too, when really his poke wasn't even a real poke. It was more of an actual punch. It was more of a knuckle. We don't even have a concrete video showing that it was actually like the tip of the thumb. It was more the knuckle of the thumb. I can't stand this guy. I can't stand this guy. And we have to call this stuff out because the media is like, I find that ironic, or I find it, I see the irony in that compared to what your eye looks like. Yeah, because he got busted up in the eye. Now, Weidman was winning this fight. But also, you know what's funny about this? Weidman looked better than he looked. He looked way better than he looked against Brad Tavares. Maybe it's the opponent, maybe not. I think it's because USADA's gone. I think Chris Weidman is taking advantage of the more lax drug testing now that USADA's gone. I think that's what's going on. There's no way all of a sudden Chris Weidman, 39 years old, looked like an absolute grandpa against Brad Tavares, comes out and looks so much better against Bruno Silva. I don't buy it at all. So not only do I think this guy's cheating by committing fouls in fights, I also believe that he's probably abusing a lenient drug testing system that is now enforced by in-house hire George Piro, who was on 60 Minutes not once but twice. So Weidman's out there eye-poking people 6 times and punching them in the back of the head, saying they wanted out of a fight when this dude tried to get an easy DQ. He tried to pull the original Aljamain Sterling, and he went on after this fight because it got ruled a TKO loss for him. He cried and whined about it and said, this is ridiculous. It was illegal knees, even though the replay showed that it wasn't illegal knees. And the guy has shown us time and time again he's not a class act, and I'm tired of everyone acting like he's a class act. He needs to be shamed for his performance against Bruno Silva in Atlantic City. I never want to see him fight again, and if he does, put him against Michel Pereira. Okay? Put him against someone like Michel Pereira who's going to make quick work of him. And you can say, I got a former middleweight champion on my resume. By the way, he was washed before he ever broke his leg. So Weidman, I wish nothing. I was rooting for him against Bruno Silva. I was rooting for him. Go back and watch my live stream. I wanted him to win. This dude is a disgrace. This dude is not sportsmanlike. This guy's not a good sport. This guy's not a class act. And this dude is not an All-American. Tom Petty would be ashamed of him. That's it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video. Share the video. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. And I will see you guys in the next video.